Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting ready for our new game show, proudly brought to you by Kangas. I thought you said I was going to do a sponsor, but no, this is a little game that Kangas has thought up once again. You thought Pixel Perfect was good. Well, wait till you see this next one. At least that is what Kangas wrote on this little card for me here, so I hope I'm doing it justice for you. Kangas, what you got for us?
That this is my idea when this was actually Rafa's idea of a game show. So thank you, Rafa, for giving me credit there, but I'm Uno reverse carding you there. But yes, everybody, this is Tic Tac Trivia, the name of our new game show where we play tic-tac-toe together, but with a twist. Instead of just putting down your ticks and your tacks, my casters competing against each other will have to answer a trivia question in order to earn their spot on the board. And of course, all the trivia questions are around Academy players. So let's take a look at the board and what it will look like going forward here. So Tic Tac Trivia right now, guys. We have 9 Academy players, and whoever can get a line of 3 wins the game. Alternatively, if we cannot complete a line of 3, whichever caster has the most markings on the board by the end of the game will then be the winner. Now, note that there are some bonus points that you can earn throughout this. So, without further ado, guys, are you ready to get going?
Yes, sir.
This sounds fun. I'm ready.
All right, perfect. So, Rafa being, of course, last place in our previous Pixel Perfect and dancing right now on the stage, will have the first go. So, Rafa, you're going to have the ticks, which I believe are the circles, if memory serves me correct, on Tic-Tac-Toe. Where would you like to start across the board? We have Viper, Tomo, Takeover, Diamond, Instinct, Spyrex, and then Yursan, Philip, and
the middle or a corner?
Instinct.
You're going right for
middle.
Instinct. Right for Instinct in the middle. Okay, for Instinct, TSM Academy's bot laner. This is an interesting one. Rather than sitting, Instinct prefers eating in what position?
Crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce. Crisscross applesauce. All right. Drum roll. And that is not correct. Unfortunately, Rafa. Damn. Crisscross applesauce is not the answer that we're looking for. Cubby, this is an odd one. I'll give you that. It's a strange question, but standing. You have the chance to steal for an X on the board. Let's see it. And there we go. Cubby gets the first point on the on Tic Tac Trivia. Not too bad.
Why did you guess crisscross applesauce? If it's like, you know, like survey says, I feel like you just got to go with standing.
Exactly. And like crisscross applesauce is basically sitting anyway, right?
I respect it though, Mark. Like you went for the full send. You're like,
see,
I got this.
I can't.
Do you have a defense?
No comment.
All right, let's keep going.
Right.
Let's keep going and bring up. So the board right now, as it looks a little jank. There we go. Cubby, you're up next. You already have the advantage. You're looking really good. Where do you want to go next on the board?
You know what? I feel confident with Diamond. I know that this isn't strategically the best move, but I need another X.
All right, Diamond. Okay, so you actually have chosen a character, a player, with a bonus question attached to this. So that means I'm going to ask one question. If you get that right, you get the tick. There'll be a follow-up question, and if you get that right, you get to go again. So you could actually just sweep this with a steal and then 2 points in a row. So, Diamond.
Why the f did you tell me that was a possible option?
Diamond's
I love my pick.
trivia question. What season did Diamond start playing League of Legends?
Competitively or like as a player?
As a player. Which season did he start playing? Season 3?
Season 3. Yeah.
Survey says incorrect. It was not Season 3. All right, Rafa, you have a chance to steal not only the initial question, but also the follow-up question. So, what season did Diamond start playing League of Legends?
Season 5.
Season 5.
4. It's 4.
All right.
It's 4.
Survey says it was not Season 5 either.
At the top of his Leaguepedia, it says 2013, and I thought that was Season 3, but it's Season 4.
Are you looking up answers right now?
Wow. Wait, he's admitting to it. Well, Cubby.
I have a photograph memory. I will send you a screenshot of both my monitors right now.
So I did specify not competitive, though. Just playing League of Legends, not competitively. He started Season 1.
Yes.
So season 1 was the correct answer there. And you could have gone for the additional question of what's the name of his song on Spotify that you can find right now. And it is Anybody But You. So if anybody wants to check that out, Diamond does have an actual song.
Okay, that's a tough bonus question. I'll give you that.
That is a tough one, but that's why it's a bonus question. All right, but now
Diamond makes beats,
now we're back to Rafa.
Rafa,
Tic Tac Trivia. What player would you like to go for next as we pull back the board up onto the screen for you right now?
Viper top left.
Viper top left. This one's this was a little easier one. All right, Rafa. Which team did Viper debut as a starting LCS player?
FlyQuest.
FlyQuest. Survey says, ding, ding, ding. There we go. Congratulations. Rafa is on. Oh, wait, that's incorrect. There we go.
Top left, yeah. All right.
There we go. Viper did debut as a starting LCS player for FlyQuest. Interestingly enough, the Academy team he's playing against today. All right.
Yeah.
Cubby, it is now back over to you. Who would you like to take next on the board? You still have the middle spot.
I believe Yurson is bottom left.
Yurson is, in fact, bottom left, yes.
Okay. Give me Yurson.
You want to take Yurson? Okay. So, for Yurson, in 2021, Yurson established a reputation as playing exclusively engaged supports for TSM Academy. What is the one non-engaged champion that he played in 2021? What'd you think, Cubby?
Hold on. I believe he had one game.
Okay.
It was Lulu or Karma. God. Karma.
Okay.
He had one game on Karma.
You think one game on Karma?
Yeah.
Let's see. Survey says that is not correct. Karma is not the correct answer. Now, Rafa, you have a chance to steal right now. What is the one non-engaged champion that Yurson played for TSM Academy in 2021? You're taking your time with it. Yumi. Wow, that's like the least engaged champion you could possibly think of. Survey says, not Yumi. Now, Cubby, I thought you'd get this one because technically it is Braum. It is Braum.
He can engage.
He can. He can. But I would argue that he is not an engaged champion, and I will die on that hill. I will. Maybe that was a trick question. All right, I believe that we're back now to Rafa, and I'm hearing that this is our last question before we get ready for Champion Select. So, Rafa, you have the chance to win the whole thing right now.
Let me. Oh, so as long as
so let's get the board back up on the screen so Rafa can see it.
Yeah, I just need more. I just need more points.
You literally just pick the easiest one that you think you would know. Oh. So again,
I've been had.
Tomo, Takeover. We can't do Diamond anymore. Spyrax. Yurson was incorrect. Philip and Hyper.
I even had that Yurson put 8 unique champs last year.
Oh my! This is so for me.
That's been written down. And
Come on, Rafa. Champ Select's waiting.
Let's go, Philip. Let's go,
Philip. All right, this was actually a bonus one, so there's a chance to win extra points. Before joining FlyQuest Academy in 2021.
Oh, come on.
Philip played briefly. For which amateur organization?
Radiance.
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the trivia board here, everybody, and see. Did Philip, in fact, play? Wait, Rafa, were you ticks or tags? I don't. You were ticks, right?
I'm circles.
You're circles. All right.
This is garbage.
And there we go. Congratulations, Rafa. By default, you win our first round of Tic Tac Trivia. Not even getting 3 in a row, but it's because you had more on the board.
What was the bonus question?
Still had more points.
The bonus question was, what was his IGN back then?
The real Phil. It was the real Phil.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Cubby did, in fact.
The real Philip.
Yeah, it was the real Philip. So that would have gotten you an opportunity to get another one in a row. So, all right. You know, I do want to give Cubby one more chance. Is there any other player that you want to go for here?
Just throw me whatever one that you think's interesting.
All right.
You know all the answers, Steve.
All right. You know what? Let's go.
What's the most interesting answer?
Let's go for Hyper. This one's fun. Which teammate is Hyper asking to be his Valentine?
Oh, this has a lot of stakes to it.
This does.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm just gonna go with Takeover. You got to go with the mid-jungle synergy.
Ralph, I'm gonna give you an answer here too. What do you think?
What was the question? Sorry, I was vibing to my victory over Cubby.
Which teammate is Hyper asking to be his Valentine?
Oh.
Cubby says Takeover.
On his,
mid-jungle, man. You got to guess your son.
Your son. Yeah, that's what I was
Ding,
saying.
ding, ding.
Your son.
Rafa gets it. It was your son.
Just not my day. You
I
know
believe
what?
the exact answer is because your son messes with him too much during scrims. So they, I guess,
like
have
that.
that kind of relationship right
I
now.
like the banner.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good.
I see.
good.
It's kind of like how
me.
me and Rafa, you know, it's the banner's, it's friendly, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Please.
Yo, Cubby, you free on the 14th, bro?
We should do something
then.
special on maybe on Friday for that. We'll get.
I feel like
I
we
have
are
the
going to
two
be
of you
doing something
again.
special because we'll be in our meetings, so we
True.
will be hanging out.
It's a super week, Cubby.
I
We're
will
going to
see
be
you.
live on broadcast. But that is it for Tic Tac Trivia, the first episode. FlyQuest Academy picking up a win against TSM Academy, and if they sweep this is doing wonders for them in the standings, even though we are focused more on the player development, especially for these two teams. So we're going to pass it back over to Pick and Ban, and sorry, Rafa, we will have to cut the music for this, but we'll see you in Game 2.
Rafa's just enjoying it as long as he can, just milking it out. Yeah, I think it's wrapped.
The music is still in my head. It's still, I'm one with it.
I've got like.
Cubby sucks, yeah.
All right, moving on to the second game.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you for our producers for throwing it the draft early. I really appreciate that.
All right, well, a couple things now that we're back to the game and the match and the overall series for FlyQuest and TSM. FlyQuest 1-0 for those that missed out off of the back of not only some stronger team coordination from FlyQuest in the mid game, Tomo also benefiting off of a lot of great picks and just snipes with the Super Mega Death Rocket, but also Yuji having a fantastic showing on the Kiana. No respect ban from TSM, so FlyQuest, if they want to continue going back to what worked for them in Game 1, they can run back the first 3 picks.
I think we see any swap early. We could see a Viego instead of a Zen. That could be something that Hyper could index towards, but that will not be the case. And instead, it's going to be another, I hope, another Kiana for Yuji, because that was a very fun pick to watch in the last game.
Yes, sir. Supreme display of talent will be making its way onto the Rift once again. And FlyQuest, they don't change anything, and so it's the first 3 picks, all the same, run back of the first 3 bans as well. TSM, are they going to now change it up in the second part of the ban phase? Remember, there were bans towards the LeBlanc and the Ahri, the mid lane of Spirax.
Yeah. So I hope that we don't see an Ahri ban, because selfishly, I would love to see an Ahri, as a lot of changes in her kit. Her ult is now a reset ability, which is pretty cool. You can get more charges. Yeah. Last game, we did also see FlyQuest take away 2 counters to the Camille they were setting up for. So it was the Renekton and the Ribbon that were taking away from Viper. I'm wondering what happens with the Victor. And that's where we're going to see the pivot. No Camille now for the side of FlyQuest. Ooh. This does leave open both the Ahri and the Victor. Ahri is a counter into Victor historically. Way back when Victor was really strong, had more upfront damage in Season 5, Season 6. Ahri was actually a very good pick because you could just attack Victor whenever he had his flashdown. I don't think we're going to see Ahri that soon, but I think that Victor was a problem. The issue I have with Victor for TSM is that makes things pretty difficult for them in the early to mid game, because Kiana can attack Victor relentlessly and makes it really hard for TSM to get out on the map, which Xin Zhao and Nautilus both want to do.
Are you saying that TSM wouldn't just want to blind Ahri right now?
No.
Knowing that... Okay.
That champ still gets destroyed by too many things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate.
We haven't seen Ahri in quite some time, so I'm not familiar with like what are her biggest counters. However...
She is good in the Rise.
If TSM are going to lock in the Rise right now, this opens the floor for Spirax to change up the champion pool. Now remember... The champ that he's done the most well on is the Victor. And so even though that Ahri was open and available, FlyQuest, they want to continue getting good reps in, good practice. And this allows Spirax to not have to vary up, the small variables. Something that we talk about, I know you're a coach and you have coaching experience from your collegiate days. Sometimes it's best to get as many reps in on the same champion, because then you can focus on things such as the team coordination and calling out for timers and whatnot that you don't get a chance to focus on when you're having to play different champions on stage and have to kind of relearn what the early few minutes of the game are like for you specifically.
Yeah, it's something that I think could be good for FlyQuest. Also, I love the Gragas pick here. I think that Gragas has been really slept on in Academy. We have seen him destroying games in LCK and being consistently blinded on blue side and teams playing it out well. And now Gragas brings so much peel for the Jinx, for the the Victor. And it also gives you a way to attack the Ryze and the Aphelios as the game moves on. So I think once again for FlyQuest, it's all about the team fight. And TSM, they've actually leaned harder into this side lane approach as the Graves and the Ryze. This does give them tools that they can use to attack the sides of FlyQuest.
I think the other thing, too, to note is that Takeover is on a champion that is more... It's easier for him to roam and leave and facilitate Viper in the side lane push, right? Because clearly the objective, or one of the main objectives was for TSM, was that Viper gets off to a good start, as historically for most teams that have Viper on their roster, and allow him to create so much pressure in the side lane. Takeover on Syndra, while he can roam once in a blue moon, it's not the best at it, right? Syndra doesn't have this innate mobility. She doesn't have a global spell that allows her to instantly realm warp over to the other side of the map, and without teleport, it's hard for Syndra to really make those plays happen and to facilitate the snowball of Viper. Now this time around, not only can Takeover do that for Viper, but he's also an adept split pusher himself. And so now FlyQuest, as they are leaning harder into the 5-on-5 with a stronger front line in Phillips Gragas, TSM now have to be more conscious about, okay, well, how can we break and pull apart the pieces of FlyQuest so they don't get to group up as 5?
That's something that they failed to do in the last game, and has been something that TSM has been struggling with throughout their time in Academy so far this year. But I know that from talking with Gunyasu this past week, he said that Peter Zhang was helping them more with the first 14 minutes of the game, and he was expecting for his team to look better. And I think that besides that bot lane dive that went errant in the last game, they did put together a better early game. So still want to see if TSM can do that again this game and get a big enough lead where they can turn it into more than just a mid-game lead. They need to start turning these into more wins.
5-man in vain from FlyQuest, potentially. They're all stacking up here. TSM, at most 4, as they're starting to fan out. But the rest of FlyQuest dedicated to getting vision control on the top side of the map, knowing that Hyper probably wants to make... Wow.
It's the Kiana tech, man. I don't think they're going to find anything. Oh, never mind. They might. Dun, dun.
Will Diamond just flash
Dun,
Flay
dun.
over? No, it's just a death sentence from Falling before. So hard for Hyper to react to that. Not going to burn any summoner spells because he knows it's already over. And first blood going over to UG's Kiana.
Okay, I think 3 people attacked the ward, so it's not an early level 2 for Spyrax on the first wave. But that was a really creative setup. And Rafa, you called in the first game. You said that this was the most comfortable that you have seen UG look with the team on this Kiana. And we talked about UG, his ability to play these assassins at a high level. What a play to start off this game for FlyQuest. This is a comp that TSM has to snowball with early. I think importantly, Hyper does not blow flash, but this is a lead for UG. And after he gets that first base off, he is going to be very far accelerated in this game.
2 big things from that. One, as you already mentioned, UG, now accelerated, is going to have access to his first spike much faster, which is huge for an assassin like Kiana. But they also got vision of Hyper, knowing where he started on the top side of the map at that red buff for sure. So now, more than likely, Hyper, as he kind of repeated in the first game, went for a 3-camp clear, getting level 3 on the Gromp to the bot side, and then full clear back towards the top side of the map. So UG now has a blueprint of where Hyper is more than likely going to be on the map at all points of this game. So now UG, if he wants to take it slow and just full clear it out, allow his laners to play safe and not give up any advantages, then UG just gets the full clear, reset, hit his serrated Dirk, and then be a more potent force on the map on the second uptime.
And this is another reason why I really like Gragas as a pick, especially on blue and especially in this lethal tempo meta. It's because you can just leave him on his own. He's so self-sufficient in lane with his sustain. We can see Philip. Yeah, he's going to be down in CS. Yeah, he's going to be getting shoved in early, but you're a Gragas. It doesn't matter. You're so incredibly useful throughout the game, and if you have flash up, you are a threat to the enemy team no matter what your gold value is. So this does give FlyQuest an easy blueprint on how to snowball this game forward. The level 1, of course, does help with that even more, but I think it's going to be tough for TSM to break this, and I really want to see what the first move that Takeover ends up making is, because Ryze does have some priority into this matchup. especially early. We can see Takeover already burning that TP to make sure that he's getting the shove into Spyrax. He will have a couple windows where he can move, hover into the side lanes, and try and find something to help TSM. And given how this game started off, it's going to be even more important that Takeover is able to hit those timers this game.
Yeah, one small advantage that Hyper will get is that he will be up technically a couple camps on Yuji because he's going to have access to both this bottom crab and the top crab because he has push from all 3 lanes, and he'll be able to reset on Krugs. But for FlyQuest, that's a small advantage that if that's the only thing that TSM are able to get and they don't translate that into massive objective leads or vision control into the jungle keeping track of Yuji, then they're fine parting with that because the rest of this composition scales so hard, you're just trying to mitigate the amount of losses and sacrifices you're making in the early game.
Double crab being one. I mean, TSM aren't going to be mad they got the double crab, but it's not the end of the world for FlyQuest. And this is a style, even thinking back to this team in the last year's spring, they really, early season, made sure that all their comps that they were picking were late game comps. And I think that one of the reasons that worked out for that iteration of FlyQuest in the spring was because they were willing to seed early objectives, something that not a lot of Academy teams do. I think that this is a small example, seeding the double crabs here. It makes a lot of sense for the Qiyana. It's still going to be a serrated Dirk, first base for Yuji. He's going to be incredibly strong after he finishes his clear. And once he hits 6, that's when you want to get Qiyana out on the map to make an impact. So I think that FlyQuest, using that first blood to kind of balance out this game early and then make sure they can hit that level 6 even harder where they start to get stronger, I like the approach from them.
Yeah, FlyQuest, just playing a very slow, safe game, knowing when they come online, when their spikes are, when they will be strong on the map. This is a very ultimate resource. This is a very ultimate dependent team, right? Chaos Storm, Super Mega Death Rocket, and Supreme Display of Talent, Explosive Cast as well. All very powerful and can warp the state of an upcoming fight. The first dragon has spawned, and right now with the current state of the waves just being pushing back and forth, mainly by TSM, they'll have priority, more than likely, because Yuji is not level 6 yet and won't be for this upcoming dragon. TSM should have control in being able to fight and secure the first dragon of the game, which is something that FlyQuest not going to be pleased about, but once again, they gave up the first dragon in game 1, and they were okay with it.
I think they should see this one. There's really no reason to contest if your Qiyana doesn't have 6. And I think it's the correct play from Hyper to look for this timer. So that is something where I know that we're a little bit critical of both of these junglers early season. I think compared to the rest of the pool, they have had some of their struggles for one reason or another. But this is a good look from Hyper. But Yuji is here to answer.
Yeah, Yuji's here for the counter gank, and TSM have to be careful about how they continue engaging this. Yurson already burned so many cooldowns. Flash and Ignite still not enough to get himself out. Diamond, on the other hand, survives, and that's Tomo with the reset, looking for one more to Hyper. Hyper realizing that he's got no way out, so he's going to trade one back on the Diamond. But Yuji will pick one up in vengeance for Diamond.
It's a great read, and this is one where I think Hyper fails to read the map state a little bit because it is synced up jungle timers. Both junglers start at top, both have been doing the same camps, and Hyper can reasonably assume that Yuji is going to be on this bot side. So going for that play, you should know that Yuji can counter, and this time around, Yuji was able to hit the counter because if you think back to last game, Hyper went for a very similar play, attacking bot after that second clear. Yuji wasn't quite there to hit it. This time, and partly given the fact he got that first blood, so he had that more items early, he was able to get there in time, and Yuji did answer. So I love the adaptation coming out from FlyQuest in a very similar draft to even improve or optimize how they're playing out this early game.
So now TSM trying to play for bot side once again as Hyper, as you already called out before, making a similar play to set up Instinct and Yurson for success. But remember, one of the other win conditions is that TSM have powerful split pushers in Takeover and Viper. If they're being put ahead, then it's very difficult for Philip and Spyrax to consistently hold them back and prevent them from being able to threaten towers on the other side of the map, because this composition for FlyQuest thrives in the 5-man situation. All about team fighting. So TSM, I want to see a focus and reevaluating to snowballing Viper, snowballing Takeover, getting them out of the side lanes, playing to their advantages, as Philip actually looking for a solo kill of his own on the Viper, but he still has collateral damage available. Philip does get a flash for Flash, but that's his ultimate down, whereas Viper still has collateral damage.
Very aggressive from Philip, given the fact that his jungler is on the bot side, and Hyper, and with no flash on Philip, might look to stop this recall.
Collateral damage.
Viper does so successfully, and now Hyper going to stop him from retreating, and Philip's in trouble.
Yeah, it's hard for him to get out of this one. Hyper gonna maintain this. Minion wave will be crashing in. Philip, I think it's just best for him to try to farm as much as he can, but this dive is very simple and easy to execute for TSM. They're gonna find a good advantage for Viper.
I like the aggression from Philip and Look, but Viper able to flash out, and that's one where you're doing so when your jungler is on the opposite side of the map. But I do like the response, at least from UG. It knows that Hyper shows on that top side. Rift Herald going over to TSM once again. But he's here to deny resources from Hyper and try and deny resources from the spot lane as well.
Viper has teleport, but he's not... He hasn't recalled quite yet. He is getting his recall in right now. And if FlyQuest are forcing this, yeah, this is a teleport coming in for Viper. They have to make this play quick or they got to get out because Viper will make them pay for their overextension. But a lot of damage out, no flash available thanks to Phillips all in earlier will prevent Viper from being able to stick onto the remaining members of FlyQuest.
Yeah, I'm surprised that FlyQuest went for that. It is red-white for the Aphelios, and you can see the blue buff and Wolves are both up on the side of TSM, so instead of going for the guaranteed play, UG trying to hit that level 6 spike, just not able to connect it, as I think it was a good flash from Instinct. A good preventative play from TSM. And the map state's going to get a little bit wonky here as Takeover's going to TP top to make sure this wave is caught, but uh-oh, Diamond Burn play.
Remember, Diamond doesn't have flash from before, and Yurson has access to Hex Flash, and beautiful stuff. You called it, no play. You cannot prevent the engage.
Good read from Yurson as Diamond just trying to pull the wave to make sure Tomo can get all these resources. Not quite able to do it. UG now has to hover, make sure that Tomo is not dove. I think this is a decent response from FlyQuest, but a good punish from TSM on the mistake from Diamond.
Couple notes here. First Mythic is completed by Viper in the Eclipse on the top side of the map, thanks to not only the dive onto Philip with Hyper, they're also netting this first dragon as well. This is one of the pieces that TSM were able to do successfully, getting an objective lead in the first few minutes of the game. And this time around, Viper has a more solid lead that they can play around because this is a huge spike for Graves online.
It is. It's also the Lethality Graves into Gragas, which... Once Gragas is able to get past the Chemtech, you don't do much into this pick, but you do a lot into the other members. And Lethality Graves is all about taking advantage of the small windows where as Graves you're going to be in range to do damage and making sure those hit as hard as possible into the range of Victor and Jinx. This build does make sense, but we're going to have to keep our eyes out to see if Viper can get those trading patterns and dash in at the right times correctly.
And one thing that Viper is consistently doing is, with his priority, he's always setting up vision control aggressively into UG's jungle, not only onto the entrance from blue buff, but also one onto the river in case UG ever dances around through lane and then comes out onto the river. So Viper has at least some of the best protection for him as he can maintain this lead while he's down flash. Meanwhile, TSM, they have Rift Herald once again, and they're looking for a similar play that they did last time where they caught out Tomo and Diamond a little overextended, but this time around, they learned their lesson from the previous game.
UG's here.
This time, Death Sentence. That's a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, Super Mega Death Rocket is just completely chunking out Yurson, but he gets the W shield out. Will be able to survive for now. UG doesn't get a chance to pounce.
I think if UG grabbed that Lantern, he might have been able to try and snipe out Yurson, but instead it's going to be a chunk, and I think it's good for FlyQuest because that not only prevents Hyper from going for the play on once again sync jungle timers, but also
Supreme Display of Talent forced to use
nice Lantern
as Hyper engaged onto UG, and Takeover was waiting in the wings. TSM now have a huge ultimate advantage. Remember last time they tried to dive like this with the Rift Herald, they dove under tower, and Supreme Display of Talent made them pay for it because it's not available, and Takeover is here before Spirax. They got a chance to make this dive happen. They're on top of a ward, so FlyQuest have to know this is coming. Philip is now making a teleport happen right on out. Diamond already gets traded out. Instinct forced to not necessarily flash. Actually, that was Takeover that had the flash. Both of them a little blue on the characters. But TSM, this time, don't drop any members in the dive.
A very aggressive play to try and get first brick, but it doesn't break. Yes, they walk away with the plates. Yes, they walk away with kill. But I don't think that's all bad for FlyQuest, as keep in mind, we are putting an emphasis on TSM's early game, given both of the comps in this one. They have to hit that spike harder. And FlyQuest, yes, they're down a dragon, but they're still within 1k gold. And as long as this competition's within 1k gold, those fights are going to be close and in favor of FlyQuest, given the tools they have.
TSM need to blow the game wide open before they can get comfortable about being able to extend this lead into the side lane and really forcing FlyQuest on what options they have to respond. But if it's just a 1,000 gold lead, like you said, FlyQuest are just content chilling, man, until we get it later and later into the game.
And that is something else that's difficult for TSM's composition, is that I do like how Takeover is trying to attack bot. Because attacking the Gragas is not easy. Philip will have to burn TP to get back up to this turret if he wants the wave. Instead, we'll stick around, take some more damage. But Gragas is a tough pick to break. It feels like TSM, yes, they want to get Viper ahead, but they need to make sure that they aren't getting shut down, as Philip will have to flash.
You can tell that Viper wants to pursue the kill into Philip, but the minion wave not being there means that he would have to tank a couple turret shots just to get past that, but it does burn Philip's flash once again. No mana available to really save the wave. As teleport available, Philip is determining whether he wants to use it right away or look for a play on the bottom side of the map, as FlyQuest looking to aggress on a takeover, knowing he doesn't have flash from before, and it's a beautiful, supreme display of talent from Yuji. But now they've burned the ability, and TSM are on their reinforcement side, trying to collapse. Yuji is able to make his way, snaking on through the left side of that flank. Meanwhile, Viper has taken the top side of the map because I think Philip was indecisive of whether he wanted to teleport back to the turret or assist in the fight.
I think it's an okay for Philip to drop that because they want this dragon, as Instinct, flash for flash, will be traded. Good trade from Diamond.
Well, FlyQuest are able to trade a turret right on back. It's not first brick for them, so TSM still coming out positively with the gold lead. But like you said, FlyQuest are not falling extremely far behind. The second dragon, a little bit of vision control extra on the TSM side, especially through this river entrance on the bottom side.
I like this decision from FlyQuest. They're actually seeding this dragon, and this might surprise some viewers, but they just used their cooldowns to make sure they netted the kill onto Takeover. They just used their cooldowns to make sure they netted that bot lane turret. Instead of sticking around and contesting for this dragon, they're going to reset first, get tempo, and try and make a play on the top side of the map. This is, I think, FlyQuest intelligently backing off when they don't have their cooldowns to those big ultimates. And this is FlyQuest trading, something that whenever you have a scaling comp, if you are able to trade anything or even trade up, you take it. And I think FlyQuest, by basing immediately there, did buy themselves this map position where all of a sudden they're getting out onto the map first with Herald and with pressure in the mid and top lanes where they both have outers to knock down. So somewhat small, but I do really like this rotation and moment from FlyQuest.
You know, this is really reminiscent of what made FlyQuest strong as they were starting to level up towards the end of spring 2021 last year. Although most of the pieces are gone, Tomo and Diamond alongside Kumo, NXI, and Triple did this very commonly. They understood where early game advantages were had on the other side of the team, and therefore they didn't contest. They always made sure to trade so that they weren't falling too far behind, and they usually had a scaling composition on their side as well, so when it came for the time of their spikes to come online, that's when they struck. And FlyQuest had such a good look, and I think it's finally starting to translate onto these new rookies as well.
Philip doesn't connect with the slam on the takeover, but Diamond's rotating over.
But there's no CC left available, so Philip not going to be able to hold Takeover down. It's an explosive cast for Realm Morph, so ultimate for ultimate here.
He even brought the cannon mini with him.
Oh, he did.
TP.
Well,
hold on.
Viper has a flash away, missing out on a lot of damage, but he should be able to survive with his life. Meanwhile, there's a 3-on-1 Instinct left a little out to dry because this support went to assist the other marksman on the top side of the map. It is 1-for-1 overall.
And Philip, that play doesn't work out, but he TP'd to that ward by the Raptors pit. And FlyQuest, even though they lose Spyrax on the top side, they're going to get this Rift Herald to crash a second time and might be able to take this turret. Tomo's not going to be hanging around. But I think that FlyQuest is still, it's a little bit messy, but I still think they're trading up.
I mean, we haven't really talked about who's leading the kill board right now because it has been, for the most part, a not so bloody game. 5-on-5.
Expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at some of the other games, and we're like at 15 to 15 kills. But taking a look at this replay, Instinct just, unfortunately, getting caught out.
And it's a good read from the side of FlyQuest. And they saw 3 top going to attack Spyrax. They say, we could do the same thing mid. Instinct, not respecting it, will be TP burn from FlyQuest, but they do net a kill and 2 crashes on the Shelly off of it. Because now Yuji looking to put that 4-1 score to work.
Viper doesn't have flash from before. Beautiful explosive cast right into the Supreme display of talent. Shutdown gold will go over to Philip, saying, you know what, Yuji, you got 4 kills already. I need some gold back in my pockets.
I love how Yuji is attacking the windows where cooldowns are down. Viper just got his ultimate back, so that's another tool you can use to sidestep things like the cast, like the Supreme display of talent that Viper did not have available in that skirmish. Yuji able to hit the window, the Youmu's plus the Chem Tank. Viper was running for the hills, ends up getting taken down.
And once again, Yuji is one of the most fed members on FlyQuest side this time around. Eclipse and Youmu's Ghost Blade completed. 7.7k gold at this point in the game. Actually, Tomo is a little slightly more rich, even though he doesn't have all the kills to boast for it. It's just the CS differential. But for the rest of FlyQuest, they are playing around their centerpieces beautifully. Diamond getting a little bit of vision control onto the top side of the map. Yurson looking for a wraparound, but Yurson slightly separated. Moonlight Vigil will come out. Diamond suffering a lot of burst damage right now, but can they follow up? Can they look for trades? Hyper goes down as one, but Spyrus has to flash away because now it's Viper on the aggressive alongside Instinct, the double marksman wiping out 2.
And FlyQuest take that fight with no Kiana ult. I think that really bites them as TSM, a nice punchback from them. And I loved Instinct's positioning in the choke. FlyQuest were trying to push through the choke. Instinct was never threatened throughout that fight. He has no sums available, just got his flash back up, and was able to pilot that one beautifully as he picks up 2 important kills that TSM really needed.
Another Dragon coming up in the next 35 seconds. This time around, TSM netted the first 2, so they are 2 Dragons away from Soul. This Soul being Hex Tech.
Again.
Once again.
Gotta use the new tech.
I love it when we play with portals. That's when things get really spicy, and then you get to see some creative flank opportunities. Yuji and Diamond are first in the river. Teleport just came out from Takeover. No. They're approaching force. Beautiful death sentence right into the Supreme display of talent. Not even the Finlander is going to save Takeover this time around. Hyper trying to go on forward, but Tomo gets the hit. Free Fire, Super Mega Death Rocket will not necessarily connect. It was just a zap. Shutdown going over to FlyQuest. And now this is a huge numbers advantage, preventing TSM from getting on top of this Dragon.
And it's another play where FlyQuest, they get out onto the map first, even after a losing fight, and are able to find pick as the tank Rise just gets one-shotted. And now we're going to have another trade coming in as TSM will be taking the Dragon, and the Baron goes over to FlyQuest.
3,000 on the Dragon. Meanwhile, you're right. FlyQuest say, we don't need the Dragon. We don't mind being on Soul Point. We're going to take the Baron this time around. And now there is a moment where FlyQuest, despite being down Soul Point, they have huge team fighting pieces. If they take a huge fight on the next uptime, they're going to be able to take a lot of damage down on these structures. And looking at these replays right now, just the fact that Tomo was able to free fire, we might see a collapse on a Viper right now. Boy. Body slam. Viper has nowhere to run, no flash available. It's getting a lot of damage down onto Yuji. He's trying to play it out as much as he can, but it's hard to get past Mr. Philip, the big man himself, frontlining all the damage. But now TSM have an advantage to take out this mid-tier 1.
And TSM, it feels like yet again somewhat falling apart as we move into the later stages of the game. Just not able to find the proactive plays with the Rise, and I will give FlyQuest a lot of credit as they have been attacking Takeover, and it's been tough for him to Realm Warp to make proactive plays on the map, but they haven't been able to get anything done as now Yurson. Time is Thresh.
The back and forth between that Diamond, knowing when the interactions of the Nautilus and the Thresh go back and forth in terms of priority. Takeover already knowing that they're in a bad spot, pops the Realm Warp. Hyper and Takeover now on the safe side of tracks. FlyQuest have the inside track to be able to collapse onto this turret. Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to take it out right now, but they have control of this mid wave, and TSM kind of pinched in this bottleneck.
They should not be able to hold this inner turret, and man, for FlyQuest and Yuji, 100% KP in this game for their new jungler on Kiana. Again, he's been fantastic, and we might have another fight.
Whoa, Hexag Gate coming in. Your son comes flying through just to get stunned up by the supreme display of talent. Super Mega Death Rocket from Tomo as he's taking out the turret, doing simultaneous work.
Look at Philip.
One on the instinct. Rocket will connect. Tomo gets the reset alongside Spyrex. Philip is just frontlining. He is a masterful frontline right now. Viper gonna survive, but this base for TSM is starting to collapse.
And, I mean, it's a straight up just team fight comp, but I think that this Gragas, and a part of the reason that I value this pick so much is that you can't attack it. And Philip, I love how he's just proactively walking up in these fights. He knows that he can't be touched. He knows it's a low damage team composition for him as Viper went for the Lethality. We have a tank Rise. The only person that's going to truly deal damage to Philip is going to be Instinct, and he doesn't have LDR. So this Gragas is pretty much invincible, and Philip knows this and is playing far up enough where that's how it feels for FlyQuest. They get to easily fight front to back. Yuji's picking his spots perfectly, and it's easy peasy for FlyQuest in this game.
There's no armor penetration whatsoever on either of the marksmen. No armor shred available to any of the facilitators from TSM. So Philip, he is living his best life right now. And because, as you already noted before, because Takeover is on the tankier side of Rise with this build, he's not putting out enough magic damage to really threaten Philip, so he's just fine building health as his only resistance to Takeover's magic damage. FlyQuest now pushing through both mid and bottom wave. Takeover trying to extend the lead for TSM as much as they can, but it's a little too late on the teleport. Hyper getting pushed right back into the death sentence. Moonlight Vigil will connect onto two members, but it's not enough damage to really deter FlyQuest from just ripping apart the base of TSM right now. TSM, their base is falling apart. It's in shambles. And right now, FlyQuest are in the undermining business. They are looking to put more damage down onto the Nexus turrets, but now they'll take their leave.
The only way back for TSM in this one is to take that Hex Tech Soul, which they are one dragon away from, so I think FlyQuest intelligently going to get a clean reset off before this, but the damage has already been done, Rafa, and this is a much improved look for FlyQuest. I know that it is the two teams that we have at the bottom of our standings, but it's a good chance for either one of these squads to try and put on a good look, pick up some more games, and move themselves up in those standings. FlyQuest is really taking advantage of this opportunity, and I love the way they're playing with Yuji's Kiana.
TSM are technically here first to the Dragon, but Yuji is waiting in that bottom river bush. So as soon as TSM overextend and show themselves, and look, Yuji is sneaking his way. Oh my goodness, this will be a powerful flank on the Viper. Supreme Display of Talent already used. Empowered Q comes out as well. Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't find the mark, but Philip over the wall, body slam, flash. Doesn't matter if he went down early in the laning phase. He's still a Gragas, and the explosive cast will interrupt the Realm Warp. FlyQuest being and looking so damn good in this showing, looking refreshed. This new identity for Yuji on the Kiana, 7-0 and 9. What a great showing from this squad.
FlyQuest gonna be able to take this one, and man, I cannot say enough good things about FlyQuest as that's yet another kill, and FlyQuest managed to really bring themselves back and put together two good games to take the Queen 2-0 over TSM.
Sometimes all it takes for a player to look way more comfortable than they have in the previous weeks is just giving them a little bit of control and agency and say on what champion they want to play or what playstyle they want to go for. I think the perfect kind of I can't think of the term, but the example is actually from you, Cubby. A lot of times you told me in your collegiate experience, you will give a lot of control to your players in what they want to play in certain matchups, even if it's not necessarily what everyone else is playing.
I mean, ultimately, the players have to be the ones that have to execute upon it, right? That's kind of the theory that I've always had. And I think that Yuji, seeing him play this Kiana, we usually see the Jarvan, but it's something that Yuji's comfortable with. He loves Assassins, and that's something that Loyola was really putting an emphasis on before. I asked both these coaches, like, hey, who are you excited about on your team? And Loyola just said Yuji. Like, he doesn't have a ton of comp experience, but this guy has great mechanics, and I think that he's really starting to step up and improve. And man, did we see that in those two games as Yuji was outstanding on that Kiana. I don't love to give MVPs for every series, but I really feel like Yuji stepped up. It was a big difference maker for FlyQuest in this 2-0.
An absolutely polarizing look, contrasting his first 3 weeks of gameplay, where Yuji always seemed like he was in the wrong place at the wrong time or forcing unnecessary fights because he felt like he had to do something. He was running out of his window to really be impactful, and I think a lot of solo queue junglers will really experience that when they come to a competitive fives experience, which is why giving them comfort picks, like when I talk about XU, if you give him the Lee Sin, it's a completely different beast as he is adapting to more standard picks for the rest of the team. So once again, props to Yuji, really showing up in this opening series of the Super Week as they have 2 more series to undergo on tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. But when we come back, we're not going to be leaving FlyQuest anytime soon because Kangas will be joining them in an interview with one of the players.